a way to use online public records to find a treasure trove of motivated seller leads. So we're going to be going through a number of different things here tonight, which should be able to hopefully give you just a little bit of information on how to start using the public records to find motivated seller leads, distressed seller leads that are going through various situations that we had actually talked about at our previous meeting. For those of you who were there, if you were not there, of course, you can go back and listen to the recording, which was just uploaded to the website tonight. So if you are a member, you can log in, go to meeting PowerPoints, and you can listen to that. We're going to be going through those 8 or 9 different strategies or lead sources that we talked about on whenever the last meeting was back in July, and I'm going to be going through each one of those separately and kind of showing you how you navigate the online sites in order to get that information, get access to that information. Now, I understand that some of you are from different counties. I've got some folks here from Okaloosa County, some from Santa Rosa County, and from all over. And of course, there's also going to be people that are going to be joining us as online members or others who may be listening to this that are for somewhere around the country. So again, I'm going to be using the Escambia County websites because that's the one that most of us use. It's the county that most of us are in, and of course, it's the one I'm most familiar with. Now, most counties should have some kind of functionality similar to this. Now, if you're out in East Podunk, North Dakota or something, that's not a bash on anybody from North Dakota. But if you're from a really small town in a little bit kind of a backwards area, perhaps, I'm not saying that they're not on the internet, but certainly some of the larger cities with larger tax bases have been able to kind of create more robust websites with additional query capabilities, etc. So I'm sure there's other big cities like maybe Atlanta or others that have more functionality than our website, and obviously some that are going to have much less. So I'm going to show you how we do it here in Escambia County. Of course, when I get into the bankruptcy stuff, now that's a national website, a federal website, so obviously that's going to be the same pretty much across the board except for which court you choose. But these websites are all going to be different. All the counties are going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to show it to you from the Escambia site. So hopefully you'll be able to kind of find the same avenue to get the information from your own local county website. Now here in our area, we typically invest in Escambia and Santa Rosa. As I know some that maybe do like Okaloosa and Walton, or kind of we'll do 1 or 2 counties. So, but anyway, we're gonna dive in right here. First of all, we're gonna start with our probate properties. Just to kind of a little bit of a review. Probate is basically when somebody has inherited a home from a deceased family member, and somebody has to do something with that house. Grandma and grandpa have lived in the house for 50, 60 years. It's just been them. They pass away. There's just this extra house. And, of course, there's going to be some people who have memories in that house and would love to keep it if they could. Some people just can't financially hang on to the house, whether it's just the upkeep or the repairs or, just paying the property taxes. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and so to inherit a house, though it is a blessing if they're able to sell it and get cash, to just hold on to it, it just becomes another expense. And so oftentimes they got to be able to get rid of these properties and be able to do something with them. So so probate can be a really good source for leads. So basically the way you're going to do that here is this is just the website. I think it may be a little delayed and a little behind. I'm going to go back here just a second here and make sure we are still, sorry, I'm a little bit paranoid, but I just want to make sure that we're still recording and everybody can still see my screen. If you can hear me, you're seeing my screen okay on the county website, go ahead and just tell me, type something in the chat box so I can see that. Billy, yes again. All right, thanks. I appreciate it. Just sorry about the paranoia there. I just want to make sure everything's working since we're recording this and spending an hour doing it. So, okay, go back to the website, and I know there's going to be a little bit of lag here, so I'll try my best to delay before I start talking about what I've clicked on, but as you guys know, I kind of talk pretty fast. But most of what we're going to be looking at is, pretty much everything we're going to be looking at is right here. So if you're on the website, depending on your county, but on this website, it is the online public records. So you click there, and hopefully our internet is not ungodly slow today. We have some issues with it sometimes downtown. But here you go to online public records, and you're going to see basically most of the public records are up and down here. We're going to go to a couple of different places. We're going to go to court records at one point tonight, and we're going to also spend a lot of time in the official records. Both of those hold a couple of different avenues for you to find leads, and so we'll be talking about that. Here on probate, we're going to be finding that within the official records. So if you click on official records, it'll bring you up to this screen, which is basically just kind of your search engine, your query to be able to run specific searches based on a person's name. If you know somebody specifically you want to look up what's going on with them, or you can just do it by a document set and a specific date range, which is what we're going to do because we're going to be looking for people who are going through a specific situation over a certain period of time. So in this specific situation, of course, you can see this is pretty self-explanatory for the most part. Most of it's pretty intuitive and easy to use. I'm just going to kind of point you in the direction of where you need to go. Here is where we would go for your date range. This is where going to be the which dates that you're searching for to find probate properties. So in this example, I'll explain it to you in just a second why it needs to be this specific date range. But I'm going to go ahead and use 7/15, 2013 till 7/26 of 2013. Now your document set, there's your date range, and then your document set, of course, is going to be what we're looking for. And you can see, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff. You may want to log into this website or to your local county website and just play with it, because you're going to see there's actually a lot of data and a lot of information that you may find interesting. You could find out if your friends have been beating their wives. You can find out who's gotten traffic tickets. You can find out a lot of very interesting stuff maybe that you can use to blackmail somebody that you know. Of course, I'm kidding. But anyway, if you log in here, you can scroll through and you can see all kind of really good stuff and a lot of information that you may find helpful in your real estate business or just in snooping on people. But if you go down here to your P's, obviously we're going to find probate. Now, one thing you may have seen us pass by that you may have originally thought would be something you'd look for is death certificates. You can go in there if you just want to kind of see, if you just wanted to send letters, immediately to, somebody who passed away. The problem is here, when you look up death certificates, first of all, it's a little too fresh to start sending out letters. So even if you use this database, obviously people are going through a grieving process. You should be sensitive to that. You don't want to be sending them, marketing pieces right away. But also when you use death certificate, if you log in there, all you're going to see is the person's name. So then you'd have to go into the property appraiser's website, search their name, find out where they lived, and you're probably just going to get the mailing address of where they lived. And so the information on death certificates is very limited, and it's not going to give you who you actually need to mail to. You're also going to find out that that information is also not under probate, but I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to find that information. So we're going to use our beginning date of July 15th and end date of July 26th. You're going to go to probate, and then we're going to click search. And once we do, you're going to see this is obviously it's going to pull up the information, and you're going to start, you're just going to scroll down, and there's going to be all the people that are noted in any kind of a public record are all going to be listed up and down here. So you're going to get both the deceased, which is usually notated with the, let me scroll so it's at the top of the screen. I'm pointing with my finger, and I just realized that you guys can't see me pointing with my finger. I think this thing lets me use some kind of a drawing tool and mark up stuff, but I haven't figured out how to use it. But anyway, if you'll see at the top there, it says Jesse Bobbitt. I don't know if they're any relation to Lorena and John Bobbitt, but you'll see Jesse Bobbitt there, DEC. That's not giving their birth month of December. That's stating deceased. So that's the person that's deceased. And then the people that don't have that are usually are somebody's heirs. If you go down, if you scroll down the list, and you can just choose a date range, and then choose. You can see, let's see, from that date range, you can see there's 253 of them. So there's quite a few to start sending out information to. Now you can see on my screen, I've done a little research. You can see these purple ones are ones I've clicked on before. But if you click on, let's just click on Wakefield for a second, and this is kind of the process you have to go to. Some of these, there's a little bit of labor. It's a little bit more labor intensive than others. Because of the way they do the public records with probate, this one is a little bit more labor intensive, but as David Morgan, who's on the call right now, or some others can attest to, you can use virtual assistants. I mean, there's people all over the world that are work for $3 an hour. If you want to try to do something to harvest this data and make it a little bit easier to gather the information, you could certainly hire a virtual assistant to do some of this kind of grunt work for you. But if you pull this up, you're basically going to see you've got The grantor is the deceased. Now here you're going to see there's different names that they went by, and so sometimes they'll see that somebody's name, something might be under Audrey Wakefield, something Audrey F. They put all these names on there because the notice to creditors or anything like that, they may have used kind of different names in securing credit cards or mortgages, etc. And sometimes you'll see banks require like a name affidavit to prove that you're the same person. So this is all the deceased, you can see with the DEC. And then this is the three heirs of the property. So they're the ones that had to be notified as to what was going on in regards to the probate. So this is something, I mean, this information is important. If you want to limit the number of heirs that you're working with, then certainly you would want to click in here and see on each record how many heirs are you talking about. And because if you have any experience with probate properties, you're going to find out that the more heirs you're dealing with, the more difficult it is going to be to do. So if you have 6 or 7 or 8 siblings or heirs, they don't necessarily have to be siblings, but heirs, it just muddies the waters because there's always one, everybody has that brother, and everybody has, of course, I've only got one brother, so he's that brother, but everybody has that sibling or that aunt or that uncle that's the crazy one that just either has disappeared to the mountains of the Himalayas or something, or they won't help out, or they just, that guy. You know who I'm talking about. Everybody's got one in their family. So it's that guy that just won't work with anybody. So you definitely want to see if there's too many heirs, then it may be something that you want to avoid. But that's going to give you that information. And then, see, the next step is right here. The one thing this doesn't tell us, that the county records does not tell us, or the public records, is who the personal representative is. And that is a critical part of marketing to probate leads, is because you don't want to be sending off a letter to crazy Uncle Tony about buying the house if he's so crazy nobody would trust him to being the personal representative. You want to talk to the decision maker and the guy who is, the guy or gal who is kind of, herding the cats and trying to get all the siblings to agree on something. That's the person you want, the personal representative, the person that's handling the file. So this is where the next step in this process comes in. Unfortunately, it can't all be done on the public records. But if you go to the Sun Press, many of you are familiar with the Sun Press. They actually do the public notices. Everything has to be made a public notice according to Florida state law. Every time certain things happen, like notice to creditors or foreclosures and stuff like that, there has to be a public notice. And so here in most of our state, I believe, the Sun Press handles that disclosure. So they only cost $0.25. So if you just find a place where they distribute them, you can get one for $0.25 per week. Or you can get a subscription for 52 weeks. It's like $17 and they'll send it right to you. So I'm not sure if you just Google Sun Press, I'm not sure of the website, but just Google Sun Press and and you can get that, the Escambia Sun Press. But anyway, if you go there and you just look through the pages, there's like 3 or 4 sections. But within that, you're going to find where they actually make the public notice for the probates. And it just says at the top, in the Circuit Court in and for Escambia County, Florida Probate Division. And then it makes the notice to creditors, because anytime there's somebody who's owed money, they have to make a public notice that this person has died and that their estate is being settled, so that these creditors can make a claim, hey, I was owed X amount of dollars and I want to be paid out of any assets of the estate. So, but when you do that, I know you guys don't have that with you. I've got the Sun Press with me. And if you look for the Wakefield, you can find the page that has all the probates. And you can find here, it says, in regarding the estate of Audrey Doris Wakefield, et cetera, et cetera. And at the very bottom, it says, person giving notice, Bruce N. Wakefield, 6350 Ard Road, Pensacola, Florida, 32526. And if you scroll through, you'll see some of them say personal representative of, I can't talk, personal representative, and some of them say person giving notice. Either way, that's the person who you're going to want to send the letter to. So you can see Bruce Wakefield, he is one of the 3 heirs. He is the one, according to the Sun Press, that you're going to send the letter to, and that's how you're going to assemble your database. So that's basically, number 1, that's probate. That's how to find the leads, and then you just have to assemble a database based on that information, based on who the personal representative is, and then start sending them letters. I'm not going to really get into the marketing side of this. This webinar is really just about how to find them. Beyond that, though, you want to cater or customize your letters to, kind of play to the fact that they're in an emotional situation. This can be very overwhelming. We'd love to help you if there's any way we can. We buy real estate. We know that you've got, some real estate to get rid of. That's another thing here, is you want to look at what, as you go through and scroll through what they're doing, you can see it says order determining homestead status of the property. Let me click off of that and show you one more thing, because within the probate section, it also explains what it is that there's various postings and different things. And if you scroll down, you'll see order determining homestead status of the property, order determining homestead status of the property. So here we know there's real property. Now, not everybody who has an estate has real property. There's going to be a lot of people who maybe, who pass away and they don't own real estate. So we don't really want to send them a letter. So we really want to kind of target and focus our things on ones that say homestead. And we really, if we really wanted to target, now I'm not saying that people that have homestead status might not want to sell it. What happens is, if there's Florida law that basically states if it is a homestead property, the spouse of the deceased does not have to sell that house in order to satisfy any of the creditors. They have the right to stay in that house until they pass away. Okay? So they don't have to sell it. But there's times when they might need to sell it or might want to sell it. So I wouldn't eliminate them, but I can tell you that when you go scroll down here, I don't know that I'll be able to find one, but there's some of them that say order determining non-homestead status of the property. It's basically saying that they had real estate that definitely was not homesteaded, and that has to be sold to take care of the creditors. And if there were creditors and the real estate has to be sold to satisfy them, then that house is going to have to be sold. They don't really have the option, unless there's other assets in that person's estate. They don't really have the option to not sell it because they have to satisfy those debts of the estate. So, this is kind of a treasure trove. There's definitely a lot of motivated sellers within this in this group, and so it's something that you want to definitely try to take advantage of. All right, so we're going to go. If you have questions, just write those down, and I'll try to get to them here at the end. It's already 7:24, and I got quite a few more to go, so hopefully the rest of them will go a little quicker. Okay, now once we're done with probate, I'm going to go to code violations. And another quick review here. Those who have violated a county ordinance or a building code and have had a lien placed against them for that code violation are going to be also posted on public record. So obviously if somebody, they had a code violation and they weren't able to remedy it and they weren't able to rectify it, and it's gone as far as having a lien on the property, these are very motivated sellers. These are people that obviously did not have the money or the time or the ability to go down and settle it with the county, because trust me, I've had a property that had a code violation on it that I bought before we had fixed it up, and I had to go down and explain to them we were going to be renovating it in X amount of time, and it was waived. But if you don't go to them and you don't do anything about it and you don't remedy the situation, they start fining you. And eventually those fines rack up and get really, really high. And oftentimes the only way to satisfy that lien is to sell the house. So this can be another, really great opportunity for you to make some money and to find some really good motivated seller leads. So here we go. If we go down to, it's real easy. This one, code enforcement, code enforce/lien. Okay, that's where you're going to go. We'll maybe just, I'm not sure how many there's going to be, so we'll expand this out to the first and click search. All right, here we go. You can see, let's see, over that month, there's been, looks like 52 are all these individual. Some of them, so you've got Escambia County that's all repeated, because whoever makes the complaint is going to be on there as well. So there's about 26 records in the last month. So let's click on Estella Allen, and this will just kind of give you a little bit of information about it. You see that the county has placed this against her. Now, if you click on the PDF, it will pull up exactly what the lien was and give you some information on it, the information that you need in order to be able to send out a letter to this person and see if you can't get them, see if they're not interested in trying to sell it. And I had mentioned while this thing is pulling up, I had mentioned that we get a really huge response rate off of the code enforcement liens. So you get a lot of garbage. It's kind of like the yellow letter campaign I had talked about. You get a big response, but you are going to deal with some junk. But these are right up. If you're a rehabber or a wholesaler, these can be right up your alleyway as far as finding deals that somebody may want to buy, because these they're always going to be houses that need work, and these people aren't going to have a lot of options because they got this big fat lien on the property. Again, I kind of run off into tangents, so this really isn't what the class is about, but I also wanted to mention that these liens, though they may be high, the county will oftentimes negotiate those liens down. So don't think that because it's got a $30,000 lien and the house is only worth $30,000 or something like that, that you can't. A lot of times the county, in order to get paid off, just like on a short sale or something else, it doesn't take as long as a short sale, but just like other creditors or other liens, they're willing to negotiate in order to get their money, because oftentimes the liens that they put on there, or the penalties that they charge, are so exorbitant. They're exorbitant in order to kind of scare people and motivate people into doing something and getting it remedied right away. But they really kind of get ridiculous. Like, I mean, you'll see it's like $400 or $500 a day sometimes penalty. I mean, that's, on a $20,000 house. I mean, within 2 weeks, it's, more than the house is worth is the liens. I mean, they will negotiate on those liens, but on it. But if you go and you look at the lien, you're going to see right here, it's going to give you the location, 9 South Dakota. If any of you know the Escambia County area, that's over kind of in the Oak Crest area, over there, like where Emerald and Marine and all that stuff is. There's another group where they're all states: South Dakota, Tennessee, New York, right off of Fairfield, across from the infamous Fairfield Lowe's, who I hear has a really great general manager of that store. But 9 South Dakota is the location. So that's where this violation has occurred. And then, of course, you can see right there where we mail the address, or where we mail the letter to: Estella Allen, 10401 Cedar Creek Drive, Pensacola, Florida 32506. This is a perfect example. Somebody should write this letter down, this address down, and go ahead and send her a letter tomorrow. She has a house over there. She was not able to afford it. Now, if for whatever reason this gets pulled up and you don't see the address, you can always take the location address or the person's name and go over here to the Escambia County website here, do a record search. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second, and you could look their address up that way. But here on this lien, hopefully it's clicked back over and you can see it. It says Estella Allen, and then if you scroll down, again, I'm trying to give it time to catch up. But you'll see here at the bottom it says nuisance conditions, and you can see all the different things that you could get a code violation for: trash and debris, inoperable vehicles, overgrowth. Hopefully they don't put one on my lawn because my backyard's about 4 feet high. Overgrowth, this rain, man, it makes it hard to get out and mow your lawn. Unsafe building, here you go: accessory carport and fences. So you know that there's some issues there. And you can see all the other things that you can possibly be fined for. And then it says here, shall have until June 25th to correct it. Obviously, she doesn't do that because there's a lien. And this tells you here, this will give you a little bit more information about what has to be done on the property. They want her to remove all contributing nuisance conditions, trash, rubbish, etc. And it says fill in pool. So we actually have a swimming pool that needs to be filled in. I cannot believe anybody has an in-ground pool in Oakcrest, but apparently they do, and they want it filled in. And then they say it needs to have restore the fence, etc. So obviously this house needs quite a bit of work. Now it's not a great neighborhood, so the after repair values on a lot of those houses are only $30,000-$40,000. So maybe it's not somewhere you want to send a letter to unless you have people that are looking for a rental. Maybe it would work for them if it doesn't need too much work. So again, you just have to kind of consider that, look at the information, and decide whether it's somebody you want to add to your mailing list. But here you can see it says if you don't correct it, it's $50 a day. And you'll see she had costs an amount of $1,100 in the amount of the lien, and that's about it. Okay, so that gives you all that information that you would need on the code violation. So that one's pretty easy. That's code violations in a nutshell. Again, if you have a question, write it down. I'll try to take some at the end, but that one's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to go through these, one by one. See if it's an address, that you'd be interested in, or if you just want to shotgun it and send out. We just send them out to everybody. So I don't really. There's not that many of them that you got to worry about, where it's at or whatever. You can usually find something to do with it. All right, so next we're going to go with the Liz Pendens. Some of you I know on the call actually do the Liz Pendens list, so this won't be anything new to you. But basically, again, the recap: anybody who has Liz Pendens filed against them, it's basically if you've had a foreclosure lawsuit. It's really any lawsuit, but 99% of them are foreclosure lawsuits. There will be a Liz Pendens filed, which is just a Latin term. I don't know exactly what it means. You could Google it. I really don't care what it means. All I care about is that it means there's a lot of foreclosures in Escambia County, and we can send them letters. So again, if you're just going to pull up a date range, let's just say we'll just go with 1 month again. It's very easy to find. It's exactly under Liz Pendens. So we click on Liz Pendens. Hopefully the computers keep it up here and you can see. It's still on the Escambia Clerk site. I don't know if I mentioned that, but locally that's escambiaclerk.com. Click search, and it's going to bring up basically what's happened the last few weeks. Now, there's always plenty of these, okay? So there's never a lack in people that are going through foreclosure in Florida, that's for certain. So, and as far as, there are certainly new foreclosures have been tapering off around the country. But if you look at our area, there's still such a backlog of them. This is a bountiful, bountiful place to find leads. And you just really should take advantage of it. Scroll down, and this is just the last few weeks. If you scroll down, keep scrolling, you'll see there are 380 records just in the last few weeks. Now, again, some of these are repeats because you got some names are repeated twice. You have some people there's multiple owners on the property, and of course the lender is also being listed and notified on here, Wells Fargo. So you're going to get some multiples and some duplicates. So that's certainly not 380 foreclosure filings. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 150. Now you're going to see that this is, again, clicking on getting the information, writing it down is going to be a little time-consuming. There are services out there who can get this information to you fast. I mean, not faster, but easier. And Metro Market Trends, I mentioned them last month, is one of those who harvests this data and sends it to you. The only downside to that is it's not as fast and it's not as fresh. So if you're in a competitive market, I think Metro Market Trends updates, every couple of weeks or so, or is a couple weeks behind. I can't really remember how they do it, but if you pull up today's Liz Pendens and you send them a letter every single day, you are going to be one step ahead of those people who are waiting for it to be kind of harvested through some of these foreclosures daily or Metro Market Trend services who aren't always immediate. I don't know if foreclosures daily is immediate or not, but Metro Market Trends I know is not. They have a delay to it. So you're going to have to decide whether you want kind of the ease of use where they just send you a list and you can just kind of do a real quick search and make labels out of that and send letters through that, or if you want to kind of go through here and pick them one by one. But basically, here is just going to say Brian and Patricia Adams is going through just had a new foreclosure on them. You would click on there. It's going to tell you kind of the basic information. You can see it's Wells Fargo and Bank of America Alternative Loan Trust are the people who have filed this foreclosure, and then Patricia and Brian Adams. Now, if you click on the PDF again of the actual Liz Pendens filing, let's give that just a moment to pull up. And you will see this information, which basically kind of gives an outline of the people that it's being filed against, what's gone with it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, here's the legal description. I'm actually unexpected technical problems. Great. This is to edit this out of the webinar. Brian is probably a bad example because if it's the Brian Adams that I know, not the singer, but the investor, Brian Adams, which I don't know if it is or not, and I apologize if anybody's friends with him for pointing out that he has those pendants. But he owns a lot of property, so if we searched him, it would probably be a nightmare. But let's look at David Arms, Springdale Forest. See, this is where you're going to find the address to send the letter to. So again, there's just an extra step of work here if you're going to use this. But you can see J.P. Morgan Chase against David Arms, Springdale Forest, Phase 2, Lot 84. So if you wanted to, now that's not an address, obviously, that you can send a letter to. So you're going to go to the Escambia County Records. This website is escpa.org. If you live in a different area, you could just go to whatever county you live in, like go and Google Baldwin County Property Appraiser, and it should take you to that website, or Okaloosa County Property Appraiser. I think it's okaloosaPA.com or .org, I'm not sure. But if you go to real estate search and you just want to type in the owner's name, and of course it shows the example there that you put the last name in first. So we go Arms, David, and click search. And again, we are looking for now Galvin. I know that I had a friend that lived in Springfield, so I know that that's or Springdale. I can't remember what I just said, but 1613 Galvin I know is in there. But if you were to pull up both of these, you see that he owned two properties. You see David P. Arms, and you just confirm. Sorry, my computer's running slow. You can confirm it right there. Lot 84, Block F, Springdale Forest. Okay, so that is the property. So you would just grab the address right here, 1613 Galvin Avenue, Pensacola, Florida, 32526, and send David and Herminia a letter stating that you're interested in buying their house, or however you want to do it. I saw that foreclosure action was filed. You need to do something right away. Your time is not on your side. Stop foreclosure now. Whatever you come up with, okay? You just know that these people are facing a foreclosure. It's been filed against them, and this is your opportunity to be able to contact them and do your direct marketing thing. So that is the list pendants list. Again, it's a huge list, both in Escambia, Santa Rosa, any county that you are across the country. I don't know that any of them, there aren't a lot. Of course, if you live in Detroit or some areas out west, there's a lot of those, a lot of foreclosures being filed. So it's especially anywhere in Florida as well. So that's the list pendants. Now, we're going to move on to bankruptcy. This one is going to be a little bit of an advanced strategy. I don't know if anybody here is going to want to necessarily go after this group. Just because there are some additional layers of stuff you got to go through. I'm going to go through it because certainly it's a niche that some people avoid, and so perhaps if you decide that's a niche that you want to go after, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of competition. So maybe bankruptcy is something that you want to go after. But anyway, basically bankruptcy is those who have filed for federal bankruptcy protection. And that protection is, when they file for bankruptcy protection, because it's a federal thing, that is filed on a federal database that everybody has access to. So if you just we're going to go to a new tab here, and you'll see the website come up here in just a moment, but that is www.pacer.gov, www.pacer.gov. Now, I should hopefully already be signed in unless it logged me out, and then I'll have to sign back in. But for those of you who you have to register and give them a credit card number in order to use Pacer, because it does charge you for each record that you pull up. It charges you 10 cents. So again, there's a little bit of an additional cost here to find this information. So it's something that you would want to have to just consider in your budgeting. But if you want to register, you would just click on register, follow their process, and that's pretty easy. But after that, once you're registered, you log on to the Pacer website, and you click on Find a Case. We'll give this just a second. And once you're in this section, you're going to go to Court Links. It's on the left side. It's the second one down, Court Links. You should all be able to see it on your screen. And that's going to bring up all the different courts. Now, of course, depending on where you live, you would click on whatever court that you want to pull up. So here we're at U.S. Bankruptcy Courts, which is where we want to be searching. And in my area, it's Florida Northern. So we're going to click on Florida Northern, which is going to include Escambia, Santa Rosa, mostly, most of the Panhandle. And this is where you're going to go. So we're going to click here to log in. Apologize for the delay. Thanks for being patient. I can cut out some of this downtime in the recording, so if you watch it back, you won't be even hearing me say this. But okay, let's see. Once we're here, this is where we can do various queries and reports on those who have filed for bankruptcy. So you see it says United States Bankruptcy Court, Northern District of Florida. If we click on reports, it'll take us to the general reports page. And this gives us, a number of different things that we can search for. Of course, if you want to just search cases, if it's your strategy to, just send out a letter once they file for for bankruptcy, you could do that. But it really doesn't make a lot of sense because when they file for bankruptcy, it's at that point that they have protection. So that's really the point at which they're probably not going to be doing anything with their house, because a lot of times that's the reason why they file for bankruptcy protection, is to kind of stall the foreclosure process, to give themselves more time, and to protect their house. So they're not really thinking about selling it at that point, but if you want to just do a search for cases, you can do that right here. But really where you're going to find the ones that you're looking for is by clicking on Docket Report. And, oh, no, that's not where I wanted to go. Sorry. Back up. You can also use a docket report to search different things, but I actually want to go to docket activity because there's a couple of different terms that I'm going to tell you about that we want to be searching that are going to give us really our greatest or highest probability of success with these letters. And so those are the things that I want to focus on. Unfortunately, my clicking the wrong thing is really slowed us up. All right, click on docket activity. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can have both of these windows up and just listen to me talk while you play on the internet and test this out. But if you go to in the office, again, this kind of depends on where you live. I think David lives out in Panama City. Most of the rest of you live here in this area. So you would click on Pensacola. Obviously, if you're in another state, you would just click on that city. BK for bankruptcy. And we want to look at, you could choose either open or closed cases. If you want to see those that have been dismissed recently, certainly that would be something that you could go after. We're going to look at open cases. And let's look from, let's see, the 1st to the 15th, and we'll run a report on those. Give that just a moment here. All right, so this, hopefully y'all can see this, but basically it's going to run down and you're going to see all the activity that's taken place in any kind of anything that was been filed, any kind of a notice, kind of a motion, anything that happened on the docket, on that court docket, is going to show up in this area. So it gives you that opportunity to kind of do some searches, and if you scroll down, you'll see there's quite a bit of different things to look for. You could see under 138 a hearing was set. That's multiple docket. Motion to dismiss case, motion to modify plan. Those are multiple dockets under one, one heading there. Paul Williams and Paul Williams. It looks like they all had to do with that case. But if you go up to, for those of you who don't know, I've already done it, but if you click, you can see it on the screen. If you click on Control F, unfortunately, my computer right now is moving extremely slow. But if you click on Control F on your browser, it will allow you to search for certain words that are in the web page that you're on. And a couple of the main ones that we're going to look for, I won't do motion to dismiss, but the two words we're going to want to search for within this is motion for relief from stay, and I usually just search for the word relief, and the other one is motion to dismiss. And the motion for relief from stay is basically when a mortgage company is asking for permission to go ahead with the foreclosure even though it's in open and active bankruptcy. So obviously, if they're requesting that, they think there's a reason that they may have that approved. And so this person who's in bankruptcy may be more motivated now to do something with their house. The motion to dismiss, the same thing. Now, you wouldn't want to search motion to dismiss. It's too many words. You want to bring it down to the lowest common denominator and just click on dismiss, and then it will show you that case. Now, if we click relief, we'll see, let's see, Mary Margaret Parker, Crawford Durwood Gaines. You can go through and click through these, but you'll see right here there's a motion for relief from stay for Margaret Mary Parker. So if you just click on this hot link, it will take us on over to that case number and that docket so we can see it more. See, they auto-populate this case number field with the one that you clicked on. So if you just click on Run Report, and I know this is a lot, but again, it's being recorded, so you can go back and listen to it again and again if you need to. I know I'm going, there's a lot to get to, and hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. But if you pull this up, and you can see basically kind of the docket. And if you click for motion for relief from stay, and let me see, this might be able to, yeah, this will still search it. See, if you click on Control F and then type in relief, it'll show you all the places where that came up. But you can see here, there was a notice, and if you scroll down, you can usually find a little more information. Hang on just a second. Here we go. Notice of appearance request on behalf of Flagstar Bank. Motion for relief from stay and or adequate protection filed by Kevin O'Comer on behalf of Flagstar Bank. So here we've got a bank that has there's a piece of property, and they're asking for a motion for relief of stay so they can go after this property and continue on with the foreclosure. So these are the ones that you're going to want to harvest into a database, maybe have somebody, maybe a virtual assistant or a real assistant, search these properties out, make a database of them, and then again, start sending them letters. These are the ones that we're going to be going after. So that's the PACER system. Again, hopefully you got the website, but it's pacer.gov. You can register on there, and you can do these searches that I just went through and find go back and find as many bankruptcy cases as you want. You could do this on a weekly basis and just send letters out to the fresh ones, to the new ones. But this is also another great source of leads. All right, absentee owners. We're going to go back over to the Escambia County Property Appraiser site, which again is www.escpa.org. We're going to go to real estate search. And this is, I really love absentee owners, to be honest with you. I just to my own, it's my own fault, but for whatever reason, I have not done absentee owner mailings in a while. But I love that list. It always performs well. For whatever reason, we've just been so busy with other things, I just haven't gotten into it. But I'm kind of, this is a tickler and a reminder to myself to get back into it. But absentee owners are great. You've got people who are, not only is it another property, a second home, a property that, but if they're out of state, I mean, you know how it is. Who knows why they bought the property? Maybe they were military and they had to leave and they couldn't sell it, so they rented it, or they thought it was a good idea to have a rental property, and after trying to manage a rental property for a year, from a different city, they found out that it's not something what they want to do. There could be a lot of reasons why they want to sell the property, but when you have somebody who lives in California or Oklahoma or some other state and has a property in Escambia County, a lot of times this is going to be a really good database to send letters to. And I can tell you when the absolute hottest time to send them letters, you can write this down, is when the tax bills come out. That is when the reminder, they've toyed it around. They thought, man, we should sell that house. We don't live there. We live miles away. I don't know if I want to keep it. It's been a nightmare. But for whatever reason, they're busy and they haven't gotten around to selling it. Well, lo and behold, in November, the tax bill comes out. It's another, if it's not escrowed or if they own the house free and clear, it's another $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever that they have to pay out of pocket. Now they're madder than they've ever been about owning that property because they got to shell out more money. This is the perfect time to be able to send them properties. Now, the easiest way to do this is to really just target a subdivision that you like. You can, of course, you can do multiple subdivisions. For the sake of this, I'm going to use a smaller subdivision that I already tested because if I had like I did Montclair at first, and there's like 800 houses there, so it was a little slower pulling up the information. But if you go to the county, you just click over here. You can see you can click on complex name. Right down there. So you can search by multiple different things. You can see legal description, owner name, location, address, account number. But this is actually the subdivision. So if you just go through the MLS or go through the county records or drive into a subdivision, if you find a place you like and you're like, man, I'd really like to buy a house here, or man, this is a great place to renovate houses, then what you would do is go in here to this real estate record search and click on subdivision, and we're going to type in Gatewood. Okay, you see I've already got it filled in there. If you click on Gatewood and click search, it's going to pull up all of the county records, and you'll see Gatewood Estates, and you click on View Card, and it will pull up the general information for that specific subdivision. And this has got a lot of great information. A lot of people don't even know that you can do this, do a subdivision search within your county property appraiser records. But the cool thing is it really gives you a lot of good info. You can do this, of course, on bigger subdivisions, but you'll see, this is the one I really like to see, but you'll see that it shows you the total sales, the high sale, and the low sale. And of course, there's only one sale, and it's probably just a lot, I would guess, for $8,700. But you can see there in Gatewood, you had a sale in 2012 for $275. You had one for $90,000. Boy, that's quite a stretch. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's total sales. You had a high sale of 90, a low sale of 55 too. In 2011, you only had one sale of 115. 2010, you had one sale for 110. So you can see the high sale in this neighborhood, 90 to 110. That's the price range that we're looking at. That's a great rehab type neighborhood, things that are going to be worth right around that 100 to 125 mark. So when we're here, you can see there's 81 improved lots, 3 vacant lots, and 84 total. So we don't, I don't buy vacant lots. I'm not interested in vacant lots. In fact, I'm going to have a vacant lot here shortly on Scotland Road. If anybody's interested in buying it, you just contact me. I'd love to sell it. The house burned down is going to be demoed here shortly. But if you click on improved lots, and give this just a second to pull up. Sorry for the delay. I did pick a small subdivision because I thought it would be faster. All right, and you'll see here that is pulled up all the houses that are owned in Gatewood in that section, in that specific part of the subdivision. Now, one thing we can't see from here is where they live and whether they live in the neighborhood or whether they are an absentee owner. So thankfully, the Escambia County Property Appraiser has a great little feature that allows us to do that. So if we click on download mailing addresses, and it's going to pull up all the mailing addresses for all the people that are in this subdivision. So as that's downloading, it also has a little feature, I believe it does, I haven't used it in a while, but where you can click on it to automatically pull up mailing labels for you to print the Avery mailing labels to just stick on the letters. The only thing is, the reason why I haven't pulled it up in a while is because we hand address everything, which I had mentioned at the last PIG meeting is really a way to get more opens. If you get those stickers, might be good for a postcard. If you decided to do postcards, I know Lorraine Price asked about postcards. I am a big fan of postcards, but a postcard is the only one that I would use a label on because you don't have to worry about whether they're going to open it or not. It's going to be opened. I still think it makes it more personal when you write their name on it, but again, that's totally up to you. But anyway, this is going to pull up an Excel spreadsheet, so hopefully you have Excel. But it'll pull up an Excel spreadsheet which allows you to see all the owners and whether or not they live there. So this is really simple, easy to do. It goes fast. That's another reason why I like absentee owners. We can get to the data set pretty quickly. But if you click here, we can do a sort. So if we click on this one, for those of you who are familiar with Excel, you should know already how to do this. But if you click on data, you can sort it A to Z. Okay, so I'll click on up and down A to Z, and it says expand the selection. You're going to click sort. You want it to expand the selection, so it goes out to everything. And there we go. That basically put all the Pensacola ones in here so that we are able to really quickly get to the out-of-state owners. And I'm telling you, this is a really hot list to send your direct mail to, especially around property tax time. But you can send it any time of the year because you never know when somebody's going to be wanting to sell. But here we have one in Atmore, Destin, Edmonton, Canada, Fremont, California. You can send them, to 3 hours away or 2 hours away to Destin, or you could send them, just focus on the ones that are way far away. You have Indian Harbor Beach, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Montgomery, Alabama, Orlando, Florida, and of course then you can scroll down past the Pensacola's and you get to some of the other cities like St. Augustine, Sacramento. I love this list. I really love the absentee owners list. It's easy to get to. It's also very easy to get through Metro Market Trends, which I've talked about before. They have a really great search engine to be able to grab the out-of-state owners. It's actually even easier than this. But if you don't want to pay the money for Metro Market Trends, this is the poor man's or the poor investors, beginners investors way to find this information. So, all right, there's that. Just got a couple of more, and we'll be done, and I can see if you have any questions. One of the ones we talked about last month was expired short sales from the MLS. I'm not going to show you that here because obviously to do that you have to have access to the MLS, and of course I have access to the MLS, but most of you don't. So if you are a realtor, then certainly you could go in and grab the expired short sales in order to send out letters. Expired listings, period. Certainly, maybe you'd find some people that would be motivated just through the expired listings. I'm reminded of one that we bought on Lenora a few months back that her listing was about to expire. She ended up calling us before it expired, and we made a deal, but had it expired and then somebody would have sent her a letter, I'm sure they would have gotten a deal. So even if it's not a short sale, you could certainly send to expired listings. So if you don't have access to it, you can get your realtor to set you up on automatic email so that every time a property expires, it automatically emails it to you. So if you have a realtor that you're friendly with or that you're doing business with, then you can get set up for that. The next one is evictions. Obviously, those who have recently had to evict a tenant, landlords, maybe older landlords or just tired landlords, maybe this will kind of coincide with the out-of-state absentee owners. Maybe you'll get some overlap in these things, but if they've just had to evict somebody, certainly this could be somebody who's really motivated and needs to do something or wants to sell the house because they're tired of it. Maybe the house has been left in bad shape. Maybe they're just tired of trying to rent it. You just never know what somebody may be going through. But evictions is another good one. And so in order to find the next two, we're going to look at evictions and divorce. They are going to be go back to the Escambia Clerk site. And we are going to go back. Let's just go all the way back to the beginning here. All right, and then when that pulls up, you're going to go back to the online public records, but instead of going to the official records, this time we're going to go to court records. And so if you click on court records, it's going to pull up pretty much a very similar query, but it's a similar search box. But instead of searching the public records, the public records, the official records, you're going to be searching the court records, which are a little different. So in this situation, we're going to search by dates because we're not going to necessarily have a specific name. Again, unless you're just snooping on somebody. But if you want to do the file date, let's just choose, let's say April 1st to 2013, and we can search for a month, and we will search, here we go, we're going to have evictions are under county civil. Okay, that's a county civil issue. And so you click on search. Again, most of this is real intuitive, it's real easy, I'm just kind of pointing you in the direction to find it. But you can see here all these different, all these different county civil issues. I'm not really sure why it's highlighting it all yellow, but and these are not all of these are going to be evictions. So you're going to have to click on them. Now these are older, so this took place back in April. So that I just used it as an example. But you want to search obviously for evictions. You want to get somebody when they're fresh. So you're going to want to do them a little bit more recent, like you do your search query more in July. But you'll see here under case type, okay, that's what we're looking for, case type eviction. So what we would want to do is, now the plaintiff here is Baptist Heights Church, okay? That's who's doing the evicting. But if we go back, and just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go back and actually find somebody who's not a church, but if you go back and you search these, you're going to find somebody who is evicting, and it's not, now see, this is an apartment that's doing an eviction. You obviously don't want to send those, but you want to send them to individual homes. And basically, let's just see if this one is a eviction. Yes, it is. Okay, so here's another eviction. A lot of them are going to be evictions. And you're going to see Ron Truitt is the plaintiff. Lee Azar was the defendant. That was the person being evicted. So all you have to do is just go into the Escambia County records. For the sake of time, I won't do it because we've done it numerous times. But go back to escpa.org or whatever the property appraiser is for your county, and type in Truitt Ron. Okay, Ron Truitt. And you can't copy and paste because, well, at least not in our county, because it gets messed up if you use a comma. Or you could copy and paste and just erase the comma. But that's going to pull up the address of the property that Ron owns. Now, if he owns numerous properties, it may not. You may not know the exact property. I'm not really sure that there's a way to actually get in there and see which property. But again, we're really wanting to send to him. It doesn't really matter which property it necessarily was. If we just know he's had to do an eviction, and he may be motivated to sell a property or many properties. So once we look up Ron's county thing, whatever property he owns, you'll be able to get his mailing address. They have the situs address and they have the mailing address. You'll just get Ron's mailing address, send him a letter, and say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm looking to buy 3 to 5 houses this month. I saw on the county records that you recently had an eviction, so maybe you have a vacant house you're looking to sell quickly. Let me know. However you want to draft up your marketing, but that's how you find evictions. Then the last one I wanted to show you was, and I've got a couple bonuses if you guys want to hang on the call. I'm going to show you a couple of bonuses. One, how to find. We'll just have one because it is getting late. But I'll show you how to find some good sources of private money, potential private money lenders by using the county records. If you'd like to see that. Hang on, and I'll add that as a little bit of a bonus here. But the last one I want to show you is how to find those who are going through a divorce. And you go back to the same place, the court records. And if you just hang on just a few minutes, I'll allow for questions if I know the answer. But here we go. You just use the same, basically April 1st, 2013. Or obviously more recent, use July 1st, 2013, and go out a month out. You can go a week out, however far you want to go out. And on this is going to be domestic relations. Okay, so divorces are under domestic relations. So again, every county might have it named something different, but it should be similar to that. So when you pull up domestic relations, that's going to pull up all this good stuff. So we go to here is Gary W. Brooks. Again, hopefully nobody knows him. Of course, it may not be a divorce. Let's see what Gary says. Wow. Sorry, this is taking quite a bit. Well, while it's waiting, I can just explain it to you so we don't take too much time here. It's basically, it's going to pull up exactly like it did for evictions. Here, you can see it. Repeat violence. Okay, now I really hope you don't know Gary Brooks because he's really going to be a. Oh boy, repeat violence. You see the information we can find on here. Let's go to E9 Moon and Kyung Soo Moon, and let's see. Hopefully they're just getting divorced and not beating each other. There we go. Happy days. Just a divorce and not repeat violence. Dissolution of marriage is what it's called. That's the case type. E9 Moon and Kyung Soo Moon. Unfortunately, it was not till death do us part, and they are going to have to end their marriage, which means they probably have a house that they need to take care of. Now, the way you can search that, obviously, go to Escambia County Property Appraisers. These are the websites that I live on, and they're the ones you're going to live on as a real estate investor. Search their names, see if they own real estate. If they do, grab the address, send them a letter, say, hey, I heard your marriage didn't work out. Want to sell me your house? No, I'm sure you could probably have a little more tact than that. But anyway, that's the way you're going to find those, and that really is the conclusion. The one thing I did want to say is I know I covered a lot of stuff here, and this is even just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many different ways to market for real estate, motivated seller leads, and you really, and I said this at the last meeting, I want to say it again, is you really need to pick one, focus on it, and become an expert in it. And then when as you get better at it, you understand it better, you understand the intricacies of probate or absentee owners or whatever, and you kind of exhausted it and you're not getting you're getting enough leads, but you want to expand, then move on to the next thing. But effective marketing is going to be about drilling down an inch wide and a mile deep, just a small little area, but going way down deep and really getting to the heart of it, getting as many leads as you can, sending those letters consistently. If it's something that has a long process like court records or what have you, something that you're really going to drill down deep on and take advantage of. So, that's something to consider. That my encouragement to you would be to really focus on one or two things and really give your attention to it and do it consistently, do it persistently, and stick with it until it begins to generate the leads you're looking for. A lot of people get too focused in looking at a mile wide and an inch deep, and so they try to do everything, but they do everything poorly, and that is just not an effective way to do much of anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wrap this thing up and allow you guys to ask any questions that you may have. Let's see if I can even figure out where this thing is. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for just now and pull up. Again, I'm no expert at this. Okay, I've stopped sharing. It looks like most of you are still here. So I'm going to just open it up just for a few minutes here. If there's anybody, the chat box is open. I can see the chat box. So if anybody has any questions that they want to ask about anything we covered here, you can go ahead and type that now. I'll give you just a few minutes, and hopefully I explain things clearly and thoroughly enough. But if there's anything specific you want me to kind of expound on, I want to give you just a second or two to ask those questions. And then if you don't have any questions, I'm going to go back to screen share, widen it back out, and I just want to show you, real quick and easy way that you can find some motivated seller leads, not motivated seller leads, but some potential private money leads through the public record. So I'm doing some time filler here with my talking to see if anybody wants to type a question, but it doesn't appear as if anybody has any questions. So either you're asleep or I did such an amazing job explaining everything that there is just no possible way that anybody could have a question. But Lewis is typing, so I'm going to let Lewis type his question. And Lisa's typing. All right. Based on your experience, how up to date is the Escambia County website? Not too. I mean, the Escambia clerk's site is very up to date. The Escambia County Property Appraiser's website is within about 2 to 3 months. So if there's been a sale, sometimes you're not going to know that right away. So that's something that you want to consider. So if most of the time it's going to be accurate, but it's just if there's been a recent sale. The only time that I had to kind of be careful on that is I remember when I was looking for the cash buyers list. I was creating a cash buyers list for my wholesaling. And when you go onto the MLS to find cash buyers and then you go back to look at it, you just had to make sure that it had been updated. So you would look at the address and the name and then go back. So I didn't search until about 2 months back. So if I went to the MLS and looked at cash buyers that closed this month, Well, then when I went to the MLS to get their mailing, when I went to the Escambia County property appraisers to get their mailing address, it wouldn't be on there yet. So I would, when I did my cash buyer searches, I would go back about 2 or 3 months in the MLS so that when I went to the property appraisers, I knew that the mailing address was going to match the recent purchase. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense. So hopefully that helps. And then Lisa was typing, and then she stopped. Oh, there's great job, Matt. Everyone, good luck. You can do this. All right. I love. Thank you for the kudos. I appreciate that. If anybody else would like to stroke my ego and tell me how great I am, you guys just feel free to do that. I can always use a little bit more than. No, I'm just kidding. But okay, I'm going to take it. For those of you who want to hang on, you can leave if you want to. I just saw one person drop off. But for those of you who want to stick around for the bonus, so I'm going to take about 5 minutes, and I just want to show you real quick the how you can find some private money if you are in need of some. So I'm going to expand this back out and go to full screen. Just a second. Okay, we're still going to be able to cut some of this downtime out when we post it to the website. So if you want to go back, it won't have as much lag time. But if you go to Escambia Clerk, okay, we're back there. And I don't think you need to see this. Okay, but we go to Escambia Clerk, and let's see. I'm just going to start back over to make this easy. And we're going to go to Online Public Records again. This is where we live. And we're going to go to Official Records again. And we're going to click our date range. So for this one, let's do something recent. We're going to do 0701. Oh, 1982. We'll be waiting here all night. 2013 to 7/31/2013, and the document set that we want is mortgages. Okay, any new mortgage that was created and recorded in that time frame. So mortgage. All right, so this is going to pull up all the new mortgages that took place in the time period of that month. And let's see. Okay, I was going to say I knew it was more than that. It was just acting a little slow. So you can see anybody who bought a property and got a mortgage between July 31st and today. Is going to be, I think maybe I went to the 26th. But anyway, back to the 26th, they're all going to be on here. So these are all the new mortgages. How about these purple ones that I've actually looked at this before? And you can see, basically, when you look up a buyer, okay, let's look on this one. They bought something in Baybrook. And you can see it says it's for a new mortgage. And there you go, Bank of America, the absolute bane of my existence, was their lender. So I'm going to send them a letter and tell them that they're an idiot using that company. I hope I can't get sued for libel or something for having that in here. I guess I'm going to have to edit that out. So that is that. So down at the bottom, and that's what I was trying to show you. Down at the bottom, the grantee is going to be whoever the lender is. Because when you mortgage something, a mortgagor or the grantor is actually the seller. It's not the person giving the mortgage. It's the person that buys it is the one who mortgages the property. They're giving a mortgage, which is a security instrument, to the lender. So you have mortgaged your property. You are the mortgagor, and they are the mortgagee. You are the grantor, and they are the grantee. So in the grantee section, it's going to list lender. Well, say we go down to I did this before, so I didn't have to waste your time. Daniel, ahoy. And you will see that his lender for his mortgage was one Elizabeth Jane Schmitz. Now, that doesn't look like Bank of America. That doesn't look like Wells Fargo. That woman loaned Daniel the money. Now, we don't know what the circumstances were around this. First of all, we know that they only loaned $6,000. Okay, so we do know the finance amount. So we can tell pretty quickly whether this person's a big player by the finance amount. If they've loaned $60,000 or $50,000 or $100,000, we know this person has got some cash to work with. If we go in and search, we can go in and search. This is the best way to do it, is go in and search under their name. And if we see that their name pops up a lot for mortgages, then we know this person is doing a lot of financing for people. Okay? And there are people out there who do that. There's a lot of people who will finance real estate for people through their IRAs. Maybe they're connected. And sometimes you'll see that this person is financing for the same person. It'll be like, John Smith Investor LLC, and everything he buys is financed through Elizabeth Jane Smith. And you're like, okay, this lady is a private money lender for this guy. The question is, will they loan to somebody else? And that's your job to find out through sending them some kind of direct mail trying to get in touch with him. Now, of course, there's multiple reasons why Elizabeth Jane Schmitz may have done a mortgage. This could be a second mortgage in which they just gave them some down payment money or something. This could be Daniel's aunt who is just helping him out and would never help you out in a million years. This could be the owner of the property, which you could check by going up to a Escambia County property appraiser and see if she owned it previously. If she did, then she's done owner financing, and that means that she may only be willing to finance property she owns, but not necessarily other properties that you want to buy. So if you go and do these kind of searches and you find somebody who's listed in there as a grantee and then search under their name and seeing if they're doing this multiple times for properties that they don't own, now you found yourself who's willing to do some private financing. Now you have to be very careful with the information that you send, and I'm going to caution you to do your research because there are SEC rules against soliciting financing or money from people that you don't know. You have to have a relationship with them. Now, some of that has changed recently in which you can do some marketing to accredited investors only. And accredited investors, the simplest explanation are those with a net worth of $1 million or more. There's another definition of it which has to do with how much money they've made over the last few years, etc. But the easiest definition is somebody who is basically a millionaire you can market your services to in order to try to get them to lend to you. But you really need to understand the SEC regulations. To be on the safe side, it would be really important for you to just try to avoid an actual solicitation for money and just try to build a relationship with them. The easiest way, just send them a letter, say, hey, my name's Matt Robinson, I'm a real estate investor, I buy a lot of property, I've got a really good track record of flipping properties. I think that perhaps you and I could be able to mutually have a relationship that's mutually beneficial. I'd love to talk to you about some of the things I'm doing and see if there's any way that we can work together to make each other both some money. It's something along those lines. And then once you are able to meet with them, if they call you, or if you're able to set up a lunch appointment, or maybe get them to come to like a little workshop where you do a PowerPoint presentation, now you can develop a relationship, and now you can maybe be a little bit more forthcoming or forthright as far as actually asking them for money or private money for your deals. Okay, so that's your bonus. Hopefully that's helpful to you. I'd love to see you guys utilize some of that stuff. I'm excited to hear some of the testimonials. But let me go back to my screen and stop sharing. And I'm going to allow just a couple more seconds if anybody has any questions. Another kudos from Billy. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? I'll give you just a few minutes here. If not, I'm going to close it down. Just a reminder that our meeting, our Q&A is going to be on August 17th. This Saturday, the gold members are going to have the mastermind, which I will be sending out an email about that tomorrow. So be on the lookout to your email if you're a gold member. And our next meeting is on August 20th. And one lucky person is going to be getting a $3,600 check. So I'm excited to share that. And the door prize is a 19-inch LED flat screen TV. So be there, be square. You got to be present to win. So hopefully you can make it. Doesn't look like anybody has any questions. So I appreciate you guys joining us. Again, this is going to be edited down slightly and then added to the website. So you'll be able to come back, listen to it again, watch it again, see the information so that you can find leads for your real estate business. God bless you guys. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.